Hello again, YouTubers and Monsuno fans! 24/7 here again for Monsuno 24/7 with an episode summary for episode number 1, Clash. It premiered tonight, as in Thursday, at 8 p.m. Eastern on Nicktoons as part of a 2-episode premiere. I'll be doing an episode summary for the second episode tomorrow. Now, appearance-wise from the start, the picture quality didn't look all that sharp to me. Coloring and such in shows like Pokemon and Beyblade seemed to be much better. However, I later saw a commercial for Dragon Ball GT, which also airs on Nicktoons, and in comparison, Monsuno looked better as far as picture quality goes. Now, the episode and series start off with Chase Suno, the main character, having a dream where he's looking for his father. A dinosaur then appears, and then the show's intro song comes on. The song itself seems to be made with a voice amplifier, like a lot of music has these days. Not sure how I feel about that, but it wasn't awful. Now after that, the conclusion of his dream was shown. Looked like what I assume was meteors striking Earth, ultimately causing it to explode, but then of course Chase wakes up. We are then introduced to Bren, the other main male character, who has glasses, and Jinja, who they seem to refer to as Jin for short, who is the main female character. They seem to have been looking for Chase's dad, Dr. Jerry Suno, for a while, and are on their way to one of his labs, hoping to find him there. When they arrive, the entrance is open a bit, and they enter, but his dad is nowhere to be seen. As they turn to leave, John Ace greets them, who we quickly discover used to work with Dr. Suno. Ace leads Chase to open a safe that his father left him that can only be opened with his handprint. Once he gets it opened and they go inside, they are then surrounded by members of S.t.o.r.m, who seem to be led by Commander Trey. He says to the S.t.o.r.m Elite, who are basically a bulk quantity of S.t.o.r.m members, kind of like foot soldiers on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, to make sure that Chase doesn't spin out the Monsuno. Hearing this, naturally, Chase spins out his Monsuno, who we discover, if you didn't already know, was Locke, which S.t.o.r.m thinks may be the linchpin. When spinning him out, the animation looked more like he threw it, similar to how Bakugan are thrown into in that cartoon series, or a Pokeball is thrown in Pokemon to enter a Pokemon into a battle. Now as for Locke, he is a polar bear-like creature that seems to have several glowing parts. The S.t.o.r.m Elite use some sort of weapons which seem to have no effect on Locke when trying to contain him and ultimately defeat him, I guess. Now after a little while, a hole is conveniently blown into an outer wall of the lab, which allows Chase and the others to escape from the lab. After which a gas leak causes an explosion, we hear for the first time, "Oh Craig," which seems to be the primary catchphrase of the show. Basically seems like Craig is substituted for what otherwise may be a curse word. Anyways, they try to run away from Locke as they're initially in fear of it, but without success. Ultimately, Locke gets in front of them and tracks him down, and gives back the core from which he was spun out of to Chase. When talking about electronic and technical stuff a little bit later, Bren then uses an odd line saying, "Now you're playing in my litter box." Not really relevant to anything, I just found that to be a little weird thing that they said that I figured I'd point out. They then pull up a digital recording of Dr. Suno explaining more about Monsuno. He states that they are from a glowing plasma life form which contains DNA, a living essence, and, similar to his last name Suno, named the Monsuno. When Monsuno are contained within a core, they hyper-evolve. The core is their home and regeneration station, and they must return to it in order to recharge. Chase then points the core toward Locke after hearing this, who is clearly tired and shouts, "Return." So basically he holds out the core like that and just says, "Return." Locke then leaps towards them, almost as if he's attacking them, but is then absorbed by the core. This act seemed very similar to the Pokemon series, in which they point the Pokeball at a Pokemon, they have a ball in their hand, they just point out like that and say, "Return." So basically the same concept. They then get another run-in with S.t.o.r.m, who we learn actually owns Cortec and everything that Dr. Suno created as he worked for S.t.o.r.m and the company Cortec. And if you don't know the characters such as Chase and those, their affiliation is Cortec. So when you see the toys and stuff in stores, the package just says Cortec or S.t.o.r.m or Eclipse, we'll get to in a second here. Now while most of S.t.o.r.m comes off as the villains, at least in this first episode, Ace is very friendly in comparison. And instead of just letting S.t.o.r.m overtake Chase for his core with Locke, as that is what they ultimately want here, Chase instructs him to spin Ace instructs Chase, kind of tongue twister there. So Ace instructs Chase to spin the core to have a fighting chance. A Storm Elite who has a strike glove, which is the first time we see that, and I think the only time I saw it in the first 2 episodes actually, then launches a Monsuno of his own. Chase then notices a hologram coming from the core which appears to track the health of the Monsuno controls. After Locke takes a hit, some of the bars in this hologram go away. It ends up being 2 Monsuno against just Locke. Just when it looks like he has no chance, Locke manages to leap very high into the air and then drive down on one of the opposing Monsuno, which effectively defeats him, and that Monsuno is then returned to the core without the owner even telling the Monsuno to return. Locke then picks up the other opposing Monsuno, spins around a few times as if someone doing the shot put in the Olympics or something like that, and hurls the Monsuno into a bunch of S.t.o.r.m members. Locke then scoops up Chase and his friends, and they flee the area. A few moments later, they're a while later in the show, time-wise though, as far as like their setting, Commander Trey and Ace are then shown communicating electronically, similar to how we use Skype, where they have a screen that shows the other person they're talking to, with someone who must be of a higher authority within S.t.o.r.m than Commander Trey is, who is Commandant Charlemagne, who has a very heavy accent, perhaps Russian or something like that. However, this is actually the same voice actor that voices Jin. So, just a good acting, I guess, there. So anyways, within the conversation, she states, "There's a war coming, and it's going to be bad." She also goes on to say that S.t.o.r.m stands between survival and total chaos, and portraying that they are the good guys, and that Chase is now a dangerous rogue Monsuno commander. Now as the episode ends, we see some dark images of a couple of Monsuno, as well as a male figure in darkness, who has somehow been electronically watching Chase and the others. I'm guessing that this character and Monsuno shown are part of Eclipse, the third group that we're aware of just from the toys and such like, and stuff like that. So that's how the episode ended, and that's our summary for the first episode, Clash. My future episode summaries will likely be shorter than this one. Being this is the first episode, I feel the need to explain more of the characters and stuff like that, so you guys have a full understanding of what's all going on. So please leave your comments, let us know what you all liked or disliked about this first episode, but please do not post any comments about anything pertaining to the second episode, or later than that, depending on when you're watching this video, as I'm making and uploading a summary video for the second episode tomorrow, and the other episodes as they happen. And I don't want things to be spoiled for those who may not have seen it, and may want to use these videos in order to keep up with things, in case it's not being shown in their country, or something of that nature. Also, please comment with any suggestions you have for me, with regards to how I may make these episode summary videos better, or what you want changed, anything you want me to talk about more, talk about less, etc. Let me know so I can make these as good and useful for you guys as I possibly can. So, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe. You can then opt to get email alerts for all of our future videos. I'll start doing unboxing videos for the toys right after the summary video for episode number 2, so stay tuned for that as well. Give us a big thumbs up if you're excited about Monsuno and you appreciate these episode summaries. Haven't done anything like this before, so it's kind of a work in progress. So again, let me know how you want things improved. And also comment, again, with your thoughts on this first episode. And I'll see what I can do for future ones and continue to make them better and better for you guys, hopefully. And a little bit shorter than this one was. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next video.